each day. So that's a big step right there. And then just being able to spend time with one another. That was a big point of emphasis. One, for me, doing a better job of just making sure, getting to know the guys more, spend some time more with them on and off the field. And you're seeing us start to grow as a unit, where we get comfortable having, the easy conversations, but the tough conversations. That's what happens when you're, start to build a brotherhood, and that's what we're trying to build right now.
Coach, obviously, your offseason started with you coaching in the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it was a very imperative thing. You drafted about 5 guys that you were around during the Senior Bowl. Just off of your evaluations with them then to having them on the team now, kind of what are your thoughts of them from that process to now, even though historically?
The beauty of the Senior Bowl, and I'm real appreciative that, Dave and Josh, recommended me for that, and also the guys down there at the Senior Bowl selected me to do that. You got a jump start on the process. You got a chance to coach them, real life coaching, and got to see how the guys reacted. And for most of the guys that I was around, and at some point during the week I was around all the guys, at some point they were real receptive to coaching. They worked hard. It was a week-long process. And you're seeing that same attitude, that same work ethic out here on the field. And, smart, tough, dependable players, that's what you're trying to build a team around. And, they showed some of that when we were with them for a short period of time. So, and they're just working on it. But, again, they're rookies. They don't know what they don't know yet. There's no light at the end of the tunnel right now. And they're probably swimming a little bit, but they're learning and working hard.
Like getting Devontae Apple back, and what have you seen from him in terms of progress?
Big swole. I don't know if y'all, walks around looking big swole right now. Arms looking big. He's definitely, been motivation for me to get in the weight room. So, try to get my arms up to his level. But no, the fact, and it was stuff he was working on last year: communication, leadership, the athletic abilities there. Learning how to be a linebacker in this league. The beauty of it is he has, Antonio Pierce in his room as his coach, who's one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion. And he knows how to do it. He knows how to do it at championship level. So he's just soaking that up. And then to have the other guys in the room, Spill around him. Spill's been a part of, good defenses. You see Luke Masterson in terms of his growth. So they're starting to gel together as a group, whether it's Darian Butler, new guys. It's a good thing, having coached that position before. When they start to build a little brotherhood with each other, whether they're eating dinner together, going to play bowl or something together, you start to see them grow, get more comfortable communicating, more comfortable being on the same page together. The best linebacker groups I've been with, they knew before they said anything what the other guy was going to do, and that's what you can see them growing with that.
The quarterback of the secondary is the safety. What have you seen from Chris Smith, even though he's a rookie, and what are you most excited about his game?
Okay, so I'm a front guy, so I might say the linebacker is the quarterback of the defense. But I'll go with that one. I'll go with that one right now. But Chris Smith, same things you saw at Georgia. It's just, playing at a high level there at Georgia. This guy, he's smart. He works hard. He's diligent and detailed in terms of how he studies. Chris is doing a good job of, keep building it each day with him, giving him more and more, and he's able to handle that. And you see, obviously the athletic ability, the ability to get to the ball, all that stuff that you saw on tape, and now he's just, transferring that to the next level. And again, but like most rookies, they don't know what they don't know. It's a different level of competition. He's working on it every day, but he's in here all the time working.
As we go up position group by position group on the defensive line, I think especially in the interior, you got a bunch of guys you've drafted the last couple of years, a bunch of other guys that have played. I know you want competition everywhere, but is that really going to be a battle for those spots and snaps?
The beauty of how the roster is constructed right now, from Dave, Champ, Brandon helping with the college stuff, and Josh's vision right there, it's competitive at all the spots. I love it. We talk about communication, discipline, effort. Competition's part of that too, and competition, that's going to bring out the best in all of us, And I think it's evident in the D-line room. It's evident in all 3 levels of our defense right now. And none of the coaches are going to complain about having a lot of good players competing for a spot, because you're going to get the best. And the competition started somewhat during the spring. It's not real, it's not the physical part yet. It'll come with training camp, but I'm pleased with it. Pleased, and I like it.
Feels like you can say that about the secondary as well, between who you're bringing back, who you added through the draft and free agency. Do you feel like that about the secondary as well?
All three levels, all three levels. I mean, again, the way the roster's been constructed right now by, by the people in personnel and our head coach, it's real competitive. And you can see out there on the field, especially in the spring, there's no starting lineups or anything like that. Everybody's rotating around, and guys are just taking advantage of the opportunities and trying to get better every day.
Last year, you guys brought in Neil Farrell, and like many rookies, sort of a slow process working into the rotation. What sort of growth have you seen from him going into year two?
Maturity. But, is it unique to him? I mean, most rookies have to go through that process. I think I've said this before. Defensive linemen going from college to pros, you got to think about from high school to college. Most of them really have never been blocked before. Like, I mean, I know people attempt to block them, but they're so good. And what in terms of just the talent level that you're dealing with, a lot of them, like they haven't had to play blocks the right way. Truly have to focus on it because they've been that much better than everybody. Once you get to the league, it's the best in the world at what they do. All right, you got grown men blocking you, technicians, that have been doing it for a while. They have to learn that. That's my experience as a D-line coach in this league. Hey, you got to learn how to play these blocks and defeat blocks at this level because you probably got away with it a little bit more with your athletic ability and you're just, being stronger than everybody. So that's the same process for most young D-linemen. I remember it, the same thing with Chandler Jones when I first coached him as a rookie. Remember all those young guys. Dalvin Tomlinson when I was with the Giants. They got to learn. Not that they didn't learn how to play blocks and stuff, but it's just a different level now. And he's just going through that process. But the real evaluation comes in training camp. But you definitely see a maturity, a focus on detail, and working towards that goal.
That process that you just talked about, it takes some patience from yourself and as well as the players.
Sometimes we're good at that. Sometimes we're not.
Right, exactly. Yeah. What's the fine line in terms of that patient understanding that there is a growth and development aspect to that position?
Well, as a former D-line coach, I'm sure, the D-line coaches wish I was a little bit more patient, but that's where my eye tends to go to. But, yeah, you have to be patient. I mean, you can't have high expectations and low patience. That's a rap song I heard that from before, but, I thought most def he hit the nail on the head when he said it. But, I think you got to have, you got to be patient. You got to be patient. Then at some point it's going to turn up and you got to go, but you got to be patient with those guys, and I think they're working through it. And you just got to clearly define to them what's right, what's wrong, then develop a plan for them to improve, and then make sure we're doing the best to get that done.
Last three, Paul, Sam, and Cassie.
Patrick, when it comes to continuity and getting your philosophy out there, how important is continuity, getting in the second year and getting guys to buy in and everything? And also, when Tyree is out there, when he's going to be out there practicing stuff, how do you envision him fitting into what you want to do defensively?
Continuity, again, it starts, if you're starting with me in terms of the defensive philosophy, it's listening to the people that are here, whether it's the players, the coaches, especially after last season, doing a lot of self-evaluation, making sure I'm listening. Sometimes you get in this role, and one of the things that you can fall in the trap is not being a good listener. The best coaches I've been around, including Josh, including Bill, they're the best listeners I've ever been around. And so I had to listen, okay, and figure out what do we need to do for us this year, what's going to be the best thing. And then to build that continuity, you got to put in work. No different than with my wife. We're not going to keep getting closer as we're married. We're going on year 14. It still takes work. You got to put the work in, and that's what we're trying to do right now. Not trying. We're putting the work in right now, and then hopefully we see the rewards of that. And then when Tyree gets out there, when Tyree gets going, it's been great having him. Good energy. He's a big body. His play style is violent. Obviously, the evaluation part comes during the season, during training camp for that position, but it's been a pleasure to be around him. I'm looking forward to seeing how his tools transfer here to this level, and he's shown the work ethic so far.
Patrick, what are your expectations for Chandler Jones this upcoming season?
Chan is like my favorite. Don't tell anybody though, but Chan's been my favorite for. The sky's the limit with Chan. Chan, the things he did last year in terms of, putting pressure on the quarterback, playing the run. I'm just, so proud of him because you got to remember, I've coached him as a rookie. And then, Brendan Daly had him after that, and he went to Arizona. And you just see the growth of a true technician, a true professional, in terms of the way he can explain the game, the way he executes out there, the way he can see it, and his leadership ability. I'm just so proud of him. And then, again, he's working hard every day. And we'll see how it all plays out. But Chan's a great player. He was great player who's been doing it for a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Hey, Coach. I see you rocking the VGK hat. I know all the guys outside were having the hats on as well as at practice. How cool is it, to be able to witness this? Another Las Vegas team competing for a championship. Obviously, you had the Aces here bring a trophy home. How much just maybe external motivation is it for you and your guys to say, hey, maybe we could be the next ones?
Two of my favorite things outside of football and my family, I gotta make sure I say that, playoff basketball and playoff hockey. And luckily, since I've been here, I've been able to go to some of the playoff games for the Aces. I've been able to go to some of the playoff games for the Knights. And the fact that it's the hometown, I mean, it's been great. It's been great. It's inspirational. When Coach was talking about it today, I'm sitting there thinking like, man, because you want to get going because that's the ultimate goal. But really proud of what they've done. Proud of what the Aces did last year and what they're working. I think they're 3-0 or 2-0 right now. 4-0, yeah. See, I follow though. I do follow. But just real proud of them, and it just it's inspirational to me in terms of trying to work towards a championship. But I know the process is the same for them as it is for us. Get better every day. That's all you can worry about, and good luck on Saturday for them.
What's your prediction then?
I don't know that much about hockey, but let's say Aces and I don't know, win. Not Aces, Knights. Sorry, Knights. I don't know. I'm not a hockey, but I want them to win. Let's put it that way. I'll be in there cheering on Saturday. I'll be in there cheering. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
What is the focus this offseason for you?
Just perfecting my craft. Anything I can do to better myself, tweak my craft. Yeah.
Obviously, everybody that came in. Last year, everybody was new. Everybody's kind of getting acclimated. Where do you feel you guys are and you individually are as an individual and as a team this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I feel like it would be a little unfair for me to sit up here and compare this year and last year. What I will say, I'm happy about it being a new season, a fresh start, a new set of guys, a new group of guys. I'll speak for myself as far as where I am. I'm a little lighter this year. I feel a lot more faster, a little bit more stronger, but I'm just trying to perfect my craft.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look thinner. You look like you leaned out.
Yep.
What was that a product of? Just kind of assessing what happened last year and just figuring out ways to maybe improve from last year?
Yeah, obviously last year I went down with an injury, the second to the last game of the season. And obviously with that, well not obviously, but with that injury, it's a little bit hard to work out and lift. So I went through a whole rehab process. And as I was rehabbing, I took my time opposed to just jumping into weights and trying to gain muscle right away. So got back healthy. Then I started working out, lifting, and that's where I am. I'm kind of just building muscle right now. So you kind of just shed the leaves off the tree and then grow them back on some whatever.
Statistically, you were playing your best football of the season. Probably those last 4 games before you got hurt. When it comes to the sacks and pressures and things like that, you were doing a good job with everything else prior to that. But do you feel like you were playing your best football toward the end of last season, and you can hopefully pick up from where you left off?
Yeah, football, and especially at this level, statistics are very tricky. You can sit there and stare at stats, but at the end of the day, as long as you're grading out well, by the coaches and you're doing your job and you might be freeing up other guys, or as long as you're, putting the team first, that's all that matters. Do I want more stats? Of course. Is that my goal? Of course. I would be selling myself short. I'll be selling myself short if I didn't. But you can't go chasing them, so.
Chandler, when it comes to the defense as a whole, I'm sure you guys want to perform better than you did last year. What's sort of the key to taking those steps forward? Maybe if you've been in the past of a unit that maybe your first year there wasn't what you thought it was, and eventually it got to a place where it's excelled. What's been typically the path to get there?
Yeah, I've always thought when it comes to looking for success, and this is in any aspect of life, but whenever you're looking for success and you have things that are seasonal like football, for me, it's been very advantageous to just flush it and erase it. Learn from your mistakes, see what you did wrong. Obviously, you don't want to get burned twice, but flushing it. And like I said, this is a fresh year, which I'm very excited about. We have a fresh team, a few new coaches sprinkled around, and I'm excited. I am.
Saw Josh McDaniels with his arm around you kind of before. What are those messages like, and just that relationship with him and how it's evolved over the years between you two?
Yeah, Josh is a hell of a person. He's very cerebral. He knows what he's talking about. He's a player's coach, and I've known Josh since I was a kid, and now I can sit here as a man and say that. So I'm just having that relationship, just him being out here and just getting the guys ready for practice.
Chandler, how much weight have you lost leading up to from last year? And then you said you're getting your strength back, but where are you at that point?
Right now I'm about 255, 250, and I could play there. I don't know. We'll see when training camp starts, but I feel good. I feel fast, and we'll see what happens.
How did that rehab process go for you, and just the trying to work through it and get more kind of used to the new artillery, I guess, you have in your arm? Because it looked like there was like they were calling it a Terminator arm for a minute.
Oh no, fortunately I didn't require any surgery, so yeah, I didn't have any surgery on my elbow. But as far as strengthening, it could be a Terminator arm because it's a little strong. But no work done.
Though, was the process pretty smooth? And
Yeah. It was. I feel like when it comes to injuries at this sport, most players that go through injuries, they kind of have a better season going into because they take that rehab process and it goes into their workout, their training process, and then maybe forward. But we'll see what happens. But my rehab went very well. Elbow feels fine.
Chandler, what was it like watching John accomplish what he did in March and being a part of that, and then also how much does that kind of drive you? I know brothers are often driven by, maybe doing more than their brother did and that kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, I get more nervous, and I said this before, I get more nervous for his fights than my own games, and it ended in the first round it felt good for me because I was sitting there nervous, hands sweaty, I couldn't really eat, so. Since it ended early, a huge weight off of my shoulders, so I was sitting up there. And they called me in the octagon. That was pretty cool. I'm not sure if you guys see me on TV, but I was fishing for the cameras. I'm the little brother here. But yeah, that was fun.
You got a young prospect, Tyree Wilson, now in the building. He's pointed to you and Max as players that he looks up to and is trying to learn from. How has that interaction gone so far with Tyree?
It's been great. Where I am now as a player, it's my job to grab guys like Tyree, Adam Plant. It's another guy you might not heard of, but Adam. These guys are young and they have such a high ceiling. They can go so far. And I was just saying this the other day. I wish I had, when I was a young player, I had Vince Wilfork, but he wasn't much of a pass rusher. But I wish I had a Max Crosby, a Chandler Jones in my room as a rookie. The things that it's our job as a player to pass that down, and the things that we can share to these guys. I'm just excited for these players for sure.
Physically imposing.
Yeah, his build. He's looking at him. I'm excited to have him on the team. That's all. He's gonna be good for us.
We do know Adam Plant. He's a local kid here from UNLV, so we've seen him a lot. So, but what has caught your eye about him? Obviously, he's stood out.
Work ethic. If I was an NFL scout, the first thing I would look at a player is their consistency as far as their practice. Are they the same person every day? Do they have an up day? Do they have a down day? But work ethic, because that's one thing you can't coach. Telling guys, go harder. That's something that's just in you, or you don't have it. So those two guys, especially Adam, definitely it stands out how hard he works.
I'm just wondering, Chandler, what was the first interaction between you and Jacoby Myers like after he was added to the team, and did you guys discuss the infamous play?
We spoke about it briefly. We didn't harp on it too much. I gave him a little smirk. That's all. That's all he got from me. But no, we spoke about it. I did tell him that he handled the media well after it. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but he handled the media very well. And, yeah, that was it.
Earlier today, Patrick Graham came up and he talked about how you were one of his favorite players you've ever coached. And obviously, you've been with him for a long time, as a coach. And so, how is that relationship continuing to grow going into this part of your career? And how are you able to see him and how he, interacts with the new players coming in as well?
Pat is another guy he's very cerebral. He's a very smart person. Pat, I was just telling one of the younger guys, Pat was my position coach as a rookie. So just to see him level up, his coaching style, even his job title, it's been amazing for me as a friend. Not as a coworker or as him being my coach, but as a friend. It's been fun to watch. So I'm very happy for him.
You've been in the NFL since 2012, and you're out here in voluntary workouts. Where does that hunger come from, wanting to be better every day and wanting to help your team?
Just loving football, honestly. I know the importance of having the whole roster here at this time. It's very advantageous, gelling together, camaraderie, but just the love of the game, honestly. There's still goals that I would like to have. There's still team goals and individual goals, and it would be a little bitter to kind of not get them because I still feel great. So that's all. Love being here. Love OTAs. I don't think I've missed one in 12 years. I think this is my 12th OTA, and it's fun.
How important is continuity when it comes to being in the same scheme and taking that next step?
I feel like it's very important, and times like right now, this is where you get that chemistry, quarterback to receivers. I mean, defensive tackles to defensive ends. You want to have the chemistry where, I look to the guy next to me, and I wouldn't have to say anything. I can just give him a head nod, and he knows exactly what that means. That's the kind of things that you need to build around this time, because you won't get that showing up in the fall. You have to do it now.
That's good.
All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate you.
Everybody's favorite day.
Questions for AJ Cole, guys? Give it a shot. Adjusting to a new long snapper, I guess this time of year, what can you guys do? How much work can you do, and how much different is it?
It's still coming from an upside down human being, so that part's the same. There's just a lot of reps we got to get in, time to catch up, but that's what this time of year is for. The quarterbacks, the receivers, the O-line, D-line, everybody's going through the same thing right now. So this time of year is sort of just a race to get better. So it's just between now and September, whatever our first game is, it's how many reps can we get together and how much trust can we have in each other. By the time we hit that first field, the time it counts.
Is it a trickier process as a punter or as a holder?
It's a good question. I think it's probably about the same. He's left-handed, so it's spinning the opposite way. But besides that, it's still a long snap. It's still the same deal. So after the first practice of getting used to it spinning the other way, it's kind of the same deal.
AJ, I know this is probably more of a Daniel kind of a question, but as a fellow special teams player and somebody who uses your foot to make an impact on the game, the rule change that they had where the fair catch on the kickoffs, where do you fall on that? Where it just seems like it's taken some strategy out of the game, maybe needlessly so, rewarding a team 24 yards for somebody else doing their job. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of unsure how teams are going to play it. It's going to be interesting to see how it gets used, how it gets played. I think it might add another wrinkle to the game that could make things a little bit more strategic. There's going to be just some different, and I think it's going to be interesting too because how much our team's going to show their hand in preseason. There's just a lot of different factors. So, I don't know from a strategy perspective, that's not really my expertise necessarily. And I think sort of it's one of those things where I don't get to make the rules. I just got to play by them. So, just sort of not much you can do really.
How much punting are you doing this time of year?
So I'd say this time of year I'm trying to get in 3 to 4 days out of the week, probably 7 days every 2 weeks. And, every time I go out, I'm probably kicking between 50 and 70 balls. This time of year is sort of an opportunity to try stuff, tinker with stuff. During the season, you kind of have these I guess I call them intrusive thoughts where you're what if I tried to do this or what if I tried to do that? But it's we have a game in 15 minutes. I probably shouldn't try that. So the off season's the time to kind of let those thoughts win a little bit and kind of mess around with stuff and see if there's little gaps and areas you can get better. And then it's kind of nice too because you try those things and you're oh, that definitely doesn't work. Don't do that in a game. So kind of an opportunity to experiment and just sort of see what all you can get out of it, see how much you can maximize your potential.
Things that maybe do work out pretty well in practice, what's that conversation like with either your special teams coach or whoever the coach might be, is that, hey, by the way, I was just working on something, wanted to come talk to you about maybe implementing.
So when you're a kid and you're shooting hoops in the backyard or whatever, and you make 3 or 4 in a row, and you go get your dad, and you're Dad, come out here, I want to show you something, and you miss 3 in a row. That's kind of how it goes a little bit. So if it's hey, I want to try this, and then Dad shows up, and then you miss 3 in a row, it's don't shoot those ever again. So it's you kind of bring it to him or bring whatever ideas you have, or some of it's technical stuff, right? It's like some of it's just like how you hold the ball, your steps, your tempo. Some of that is like stuff that you kind of can do on your own. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Obviously, you and Daniel were trying to get adjusted to Jacob on the field as the new long snapper, but just outside of the field, just your relationship personally, how's that developing between you three?
Yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time together, right? Like, everybody else is doing their own thing, and it's usually just us three on the field closest to you guys. So, we spend a lot of time together. We eat breakfast together, we eat lunch together, and so, just getting to know him, getting to learn about who he is, where he's from, all those things. And I think that's really important. I'm a big believer in, like, camaraderie, vibes, all that, and I think that translates to on-field production. So we're trying to get to know each other, and we're trying to, just build as much chemistry as we can.
With that being said, how surprising or jarring was it to lose Trent in the offseason?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there's the human aspect of it. Trent's a great friend. I lived with Trent. Trent was a groomsman at my wedding. And so it's a person you miss. It's a person you care about. And so when you get the news, like, it's something that, you realize, like, oh, I'm not going to, sit next to him on the plane anymore. I'm not going to, like, have coffee with him every morning. And so there's the, on-field part of it, which is, he's a great long snapper. He's a great player. And then there's the human part of it, too, which in a lot of ways hurts worse. But, I'm excited that he got an opportunity in Dallas. I think it's a great place for him, and I'm excited to see what he does with the rest of his career.
On a personal level, a lot of you guys did get married during the off season. AJ, Max, and Dylan, Jermaine. What was that like? Did you guys all know that was happening? And has it been kind of interesting to talk about in the locker room since you guys came back from the off season?
Yeah, it was definitely the season of weddings for sure. Like a lot of talk about, like, what wedding band are you wearing? Like, what are you using, the silicone band when you work out? Like, are you going with the metal ring on a day-to-day basis? A lot of talk about that. It was cool to kind of go through that and, like, everybody kind of have that experience and get to go to some of them and just sort of, just kind of, like, cherish that moment. It's cool to see, especially, like, with a guy like Max, as a guy that I came in with. We both were really young guys, and now both of us, like, we're married. Max has a kid. Like, it's cool to go through life with people, right? It's cool to watch them develop. It's cool to watch them grow, and that's an awesome thing to see. Anytime you see someone that you care about have, like, a pretty significant life change, it's really special, and it's awesome to watch and be a part of.
What level of involvement did you have in planning the wedding? And did you have to walk that fine line of agreeing, but making sure you were engaged with the whole thing and all that, but letting her basically have the final say?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. I was probably involved about as much as you would expect, but the thing is, have you seen the Mike Leach thing about it? Mike Leach captures it absolutely perfectly. I mean, there's the questions of, like, what font should we put on the invitations, and there's the questions like that. And then, they want you to think about it, and they want you to have a good answer, but they don't want you to just say something, and it's like, are you just agreeing with me to agree with me, or is this what you really think? And, some of it was really cool because some of it I didn't know at all, and I just showed up on the day of the wedding, and I was like, oh, this looks great. Like, this is awesome. Like, very fun. But, like, the worst part of the wedding is getting the RSVPs in. The worst part of the wedding is, like, texting everybody and being like, hey, just following back, seeing if you've had a chance to submit your RSVP. Yeah, and it's like the generic message that my wife typed out that I just copied and pasted to all my friends, and I just added at the end, like, this wasn't me. Like, so, like, that part was kind of brutal. And right now we're really struggling through the thank you notes. I mean, we are extremely, appreciative of everybody, but boy, is that a chore. I mean, you want to make them personal, you want to make them funny, but at the same time, too, it's like, you got to get through a lot. So that's, yeah, I mean, it never ends. It never ends. And my handwriting is atrocious, too, so I'm having to go really slow, and, like, my thumb hurts all the time. It's really a process.
Can you give us the wedding power rankings from the off season?
The wedding power rankings, like, top to bottom? I don't want to get into that, but, I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into that. It's comparison's the thief of joy. We don't need to do that. They were all phenomenal.
Who's the worst answer, though? You could answer that.
Oh, it's probably me. A lot of people would probably say me. I probably, like, the things outside the gas station that, like, they blow up and they kind of, like, do like that? Yeah, like, that's how sort of I dance a little bit. I try and take up a lot of volume, really. I've never been on a dance floor and nobody known about it. I make my presence very stated, which I'm sure you can believe. So yeah, just a lot of flailing limbs. Like I got long arms, long legs. You know, it's a dangerous place to be. You could easily catch a stray elbow.
Say guys?
I love you guys.